Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to do part 2 to a very popular video I did last week covering a story which was titled, Wife Had Meltdown After Entire Family Wants Nothing to Do with Her After Her Affair Led Her Husband to Go to Jail. And guys, if you recall that story, it was all about a woman who is truly singing the blues about how essentially she had an affair and her husband found out about it, caught her in the act in their own house, beat the crap out of the guy after the guy wouldn't leave, and he beat the crap out of him so bad that the guy went to prison for like 5 years. And if you recall in the story, he was really good to her. She had gained weight over the years. She had 4 kids, so that does happen. And she lost it, and he was supportive and great to her, and she just was treating him like crap. And eventually started having an affair with her, with a manager in her office. And next thing you know, she gets caught, the whole 9 yards. And they all have to sit in court watching their dad go to jail, her and the kids. And afterwards, he, of course, divorces her. And at one point, he had to go into protective custody in prison because he got into a fight and almost died. And the kids want nothing to do with her. Her own family wants nothing to do with her. And she is singing the blues. And all she wants to do is just have him forgive her and start over and blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, it ended with him getting out, thank the Lord, him starting over, and the kids have a relationship with him, but they really don't want a whole lot to do with her. And all she wants to do is just try to make it better and rewind time. She's like, Cher, if I can turn back time, that bullshit. And I said flat out upon commenting, like, look, move on. Leave him alone. You want to help him? Move on. Leave him alone. He wants nothing to do with you. Now, in part 2, turns out that one of her daughters, who's an adult, found her thing on Reddit. And her daughter ain't too happy about mama. And her daughter writes this whole thing telling from the daughter's perspective on what was life like growing up during this whole thing and her issues with her mother. And I thought it'd be a good one to cover here for you guys that are very interested in the story. So I said enough here, getting right into it. She says, I'm a regular on Reddit, so I'm using a throwaway account because I really don't want any people that I know in my social media life to know that this is me. I strive to keep my past a secret. My college friends don't know that my dad was in prison, nor do I care to tell them. So when I walked around campus and heard a lot of people talking about this post and effing sharing it, brought back a lot of emotions I haven't been trying to overcome. So I looked it up and there was enough information provided to know this was about my family, and it angered me. So I didn't realize Reddit was that popular. I know Reddit is popular, but that popular with a young gal, college age, that people were actually going around talking about it. And imagine hearing that about your family. I reached out to my mother, who began with the damn waterworks, and I yelled at her. There's a surprise. When I went to see my dad and told him what I did, he yelled at me. My father is a good man. He only yelled at me for cursing my mother. He tells me that I may not love my mother, but I need to respect her. Wow. After everything she did and him landing in prison, he's still telling the daughter to respect the mother. I mean, that says a lot. It's hard to respect someone like that. My father always struggled. He would drill into our heads that we should be grateful for growing up in an area where he wouldn't get attacked for getting good grades or getting caught reading by the kids. He says where you're jumped for wanting white things like going to college. He told us what it was like for him in the South Bronx. My aunts told us how he joined a gang at 13 just so he can be left alone while he went to school. That happens to people that grew up in a very not so wealthy areas, and the kids will be picked on and given a hard time because they're actually trying to do well in school, because the other kids that aren't going anywhere in life are like, hey, you're trying to be better than us. And it's a shame. I think Will Smith, I swear I heard Will Smith used to hide his textbooks in pizza boxes on the way home so kids didn't, know he was trying to study. That's what I heard. When he was 15, his father passed away from cancer, and my father had to be a surrogate parent to his 2 sisters. Since there was no life insurance, he worked and did what he could in order to help pay the rent and put food on the table while still attending school. My dad said it was fortunate that his mother remarried a good man and they moved to upstate New York for a better life. Man, her dad is a good guy, and the fact that all this happened to him, good Lord. From what my uncle told me, he and his friends thought my dad was weird. It was the 90s, and my dad walked into school with really baggy clothing and a Puerto Rican flag shirt, and they decided to mess with him. My uncle said they didn't expect my dad to instantly fight them and he kicked their asses. But instead of walking away, my dad helped him up and asked if he wanted to skip school, share a 40, and talk things out. My uncle said when my dad did that, he knew they were going to be friends and they started hanging out. He introduced him to my mom and they really hit it off. They went to the same college and by the end of the freshman year, they were married. Smack! Freshman year, 19, maybe 20 years old. You never know. Come on. I get it was the 90s, but guess what? I'm 44. I was in college in the 90s. You didn't see me run out to get married, did you? Growing up, my parents were the lovey-dovey couple. They were always holding hands, kissing, and it was really embarrassing. Well, that's better than the opposite. Even at the start of my senior year, when everything went to shit, he was acting like a teenager when it came to my mom. He loved her, respected her. I can honestly say he never placed her on a pedestal. He would lecture me that a woman will not respect a man who placed them on a pedestal, and when I asked why, he said, because they will always be looking down on you. Man, I'm liking this guy. That's some old school knowledge right there. What I tell you guys all the time. My dad told me that his father and stepfather had the same mindset. You treat your wife as your equal. She is your best friend. She is your confidant like you are hers. I wouldn't go that far, guys. My dad had his quirks. He was a big guy and always joking. 5'11", 260. And despite being heavy, he was very active. He used to love it when he would sing to my mom. We all did. He would serenade her. He would buy her flowers and write on the card, because it's a Thursday and I was thinking about you. He wrote her the occasional love letter and would defend her honor when someone was rude or disrespectful to her. Always told her how beautiful she was. My dad showed the girls what kind of a man they should have in their lives. When it came to my uncle, my dad was always there for him. Even when everyone thought he was a lost cause, my dad never gave up on him, and as my grandfather once said, knocked the stupid out of him and left behind the man he was supposed to be. That phrase always made me laugh. Again, aside from the serenading the wife thing and getting a little too carried away, again, this is a good guy, and, this sounds like a guy we could all like. My dad showed me how to be a man. A friend and a husband are supposed to act, and my mother, before her affair, always loved my... Let me read this again. My dad showed me how a man, a friend, and a husband are supposed to act, and my mother, before her affair, always loved my dad. He always supported her and encouraged her. He was the one-man pep rally when she was down in the dumps, and she was his. To all of us, they had the marriage we wanted to have. Then my mom fucked it up. I remember those months. She would talk to my father as he was beneath her, and he pushed back but restrained himself. Even though my father graduated college and has a successful career as a financial advisor, he can go from zero to ghetto in 5 seconds. Grandma said he was like his father, kind, respectable, and helpful, but wouldn't hesitate to rip your throat out with his bare hands. That's from growing up in bad neighborhoods. That's from having to be in a gang to survive. Not that I recommend joining gangs, but you get my point. He did it to survive. That doesn't go away, and you can switch it on like that. My dad tried everything, buying her flowers, trying to take her out to dinner, dancing, but she was in her own little world. This is when the affair was going on. Notice, even though I like the dad, notice that she's treating him like crap, so he's doing more and more nice things to her. That doesn't work that way, because that's going to make the woman respect you less. And even in the story, when she wrote it, you could tell by the way she was describing him doing nice things, her respect for him was going down the gutter, down the toilet, as he was doing more nice things to her, and she was treating him like crap. We all saw it. It was really having a big effect on my brother and twin sisters. So, I made a mistake in the beginning, guys. I thought this was a daughter writing this. This is a son, because I know there was twin sisters and 2 brothers. So unless I read it wrong, this must be the brother. Okay. But my dad would always smile and tell us that it would probably work out. He would tell us that my mom was probably really stressed at work and bringing it home, and I believe that. Well, she did bring work home. It was called her lover. Especially when she quit her job. I honestly thought it was her job, and that was the problem. Then my dad was arrested. Mom, do you know the embarrassment we felt when the entire school was talking about what happened? My dad was arrested because my mom couldn't keep her legs closed. Whew, ouch. I couldn't bear to look at you, which was why I went to stay at Grandma's house. The sight of you disgusted me, and when I visited Dad, he couldn't barely look at me. He was ashamed. He told me he failed as a husband and failed as a man. He didn't fail. He made mistakes, but he didn't fail. He was a good guy. And this tough bastard survived prison. The growing up in bad neighborhoods definitely helped save him in prison. By the way, you keep hearing me clear my throat, guys. I was sick over the week, and I'm doing my best to get over that cold, but the show must go on, so here I am filming. So thanks for bearing with me. My altered voice and me clearing my throat every 3 seconds. In fact, coffee time. Okay. I told him he didn't, but he said he did because a man would have thought about the consequences of his actions before doing something so effing stupid, and he failed as a husband because his wife effed another man. He made mistakes, but she is the a-hole here, and everybody can lose control and all that. But, yeah, you got to think before you act, because you don't want to go to prison. I told him to please look at me, and he wouldn't. Then he had the audacity to ask us for forgiveness, and for the first time in my life, I wanted to physically hurt you. We were all hurting, and you wanted forgiveness. He's addressing the mother. When I sat there in trial, listening to the 911 call was the worst 25 minutes of my life. 25 minutes listening to my father, who would have killed and died for you, crying, asking the operator for help, telling that woman that he think he just offed someone, listening to that woman talking him down while hearing him say over and over, "The love of my life cheated on me and hurt us more than anything." I know you tried to act as a character witness for my dad. We all told you not to do it, and you did it anyway. Why? Did you want to show us that you still loved him? Tell the court that he's a good man. Because in my opinion, that cross-examination where you told everyone how long you're with that SOB and why we lost him, why he was sent to jail, and I believe if we had an actual lawyer instead of an appointed one, he would have walked. There you go. I had anger issues because of that. My brother became a closet alcoholic. One of the twins was suicidal, and you didn't notice. All you wanted was to try and fix things with Dad, leaving me to keep the siblings afloat. I hated you. In some way, I still do. When I went to college, I wanted nothing to do with you. Like my father, I had to be a surrogate parent to my siblings. I was working a full-time job, going to college, and sending you money to help pay for the bills. Remember, he lost his job, and I think she was also sued by the wife of the guy who he nearly beat to death. Mom, I know it was hard. I know you were really depressed, but you had help with the bills, and Grandma did defend you. But she only did that because everyone was against you. At least that is what the twins believe. When Dad got stabbed in prison, I almost had a nervous breakdown. I just saw him that day. I was poking fun at how muscular he got, and we had a good laugh at what Dad called the prison body plan. It made it sound like a fun commercial. I was halfway back to school when I got the phone call. I nearly crashed the car because my brain turned off. It was hard for everyone. I didn't tell anyone this, but I sat outside that SOB's apartment. I wanted to F him up so badly. But when I saw him walking with that cane, I remembered what Dad said and drove off. Good. It would break the father's heart in prison if his son would go do the same thing he did and go in prison, And I'm going to go back and say, you can't blame the father for beating the hell out of that guy. But then again, and it's because that guy was taunting him, if you remember. But you have to think before you act, because look what happened. Prison. It's not worth it. As the years passed by, Grandma died, then Grandpa a few days later from a broken heart syndrome, and Dad couldn't attend the funeral. Did you know that both his sisters got married in the waiting area just so he could give them away? The damage you've done to all of us is tremendous, and it didn't help that you kept asking us to forgive you, to give you another chance. You never gave us room to comprehend, to heal. You just kept asking for all of us, and all you want to do is make yourself feel better. Yes, that's exactly it. It isn't about making them feel better. It's about making her feel better because she's that selfish. And I believe the story started off with her saying that she's so selfish. So she knows she's selfish. You didn't give a damn. You didn't try. You just gave us space and acted as if we were supposed to suddenly act like we were normal again. Yes, you did try in the later years, but you didn't during the time when you were supposed to, when it was most important. When Dad got out, he told us to start talking to you. Told us that you're a good mother to us and therefore we should show you some respect. So we did, and it made you happy. For a while, I remembered what it was like to not hate you. Dad was having issues trying to find work at first, but one of his old clients hired him. I didn't expect the twins to throw that bomb at you. Dad did not want you to know that he was out. So when you appeared, it really bothered him. He threw up after he spoke to you. He said the very sight of you sickened him. Yeah, can you imagine him trying to get a job after being in prison? Fortunately, this dude was a good guy, good reputation, and he wasn't in that long. I mean, he was in there 5 years. That's long, but not like 20. And one of his old clients hired him again to get his foot back in the door, get back. But dudes that they go to prison, and let's just say that it's for reasons that, kind of like this, they have a hard time finding work. Because think about it, nobody's going to trust a con. As for your statement in your post about the ex-wife coming to see Dad, she's been coming to see Dad weekly for over 3 years. And they've been spending time together since he got out. Well, that's salt in the wound to the mom. The woman this dude's talking about is the guy who's having the affair with his mom. His wife was going to see their dad. How funny is that? So please, stop building a castle in the sky of the two of you getting back together. If you want to talk about this, call me. If you want to fix things with your children, call me. What you did last week, posting what is arguably the worst moment in our lives, is pure selfishness, as your title suggested. I told Dad about this, and he doesn't care. He said you're just the mother of his children, nothing else. So, there you go. The kid ain't happy about it, and you can't blame him at all. And I said at the end of the story, when I was reading it, because it was a long one, she didn't care about that. She just wanted to make herself feel better. And I said that someone like that did these awful things and the whole family imploded, the best thing they can do is move on. And say, hey, I'm here if you want to talk. I love you, end of story. And move on, learn from all your mistakes, and try to live a better freaking life. That's all you can do. Because she ain't getting back with that guy. I mean, who can blame him, right? Like, he never trust her again of what happened. She ruined his life. And it's not like it was just like a one-time thing. This affair was going on for a long time. She's treating him like shit, all this stuff. And look what it did to the kids. Seriously. So I wish these kids and the guy, the father, all the best. And I really hope they can move past this, and he's able to get back on his career and have a really great life. Because if anybody deserves some really great things happening to him, it's that poor dad who went to prison there. I mean, good Lord. But anyway, guys, that'd be a good one to go over. I thought it'd be good to post this update because the video did very well. You guys liked it, obviously, so I saw this part. Somebody sent me this part too. Figured I'd cover it. You guys might be interested. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you come across a good article, story, or a personal story you'd like to share, by all means, email to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just give me some time to get to it. I will when I can. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.